When you realize that for you to transform your life, you have to move from falsehood into truth, living in truth instead of living in falsehood. No more lying, no more excuse making, no more rationalizing, no more playing small, because if you're made in the image of God or some type of divine source, playing small is falsehood. That's not truth. When you realize that this is the map, this simple change from falsehood into truth is the map to you living the life that you want to live, shouldn't take much of a leap to realize, hang on a second, if I'm selling someone, am I not just taking them from falsehood into truth? Because they're not living the life they want. That's why they've put the sales call. To live the life they want, they have to move into truth. Yes. On a sales call, what makes sales hard is thinking that you have to do something. You have to close the prospect, sell the prospect, manipulate them, trick them, gimmick them, tie them down with all of your objection handling and word tracks. Actually, all you need to do is take them from falsehood into truth. Now, I say only, that's all you need to do. The reason that this is so much easier is twofold. Number one, falsehood is where you're going to access a power source, or an energy source, should I say, that is only force, meaning to get something accomplished, you can get it done, but it takes energy, it drains you. It is not self-perpetuating. You can use your energy using force to get an outcome, and then you have to recharge again. Whereas when you're in truth, and the other book from David Hawkins, not this one, is titled Power versus Force. When you're in truth, this delineation between these two is the same exact breakdown, falsehood versus truth, as force versus power, which, going back to the triangle of the levels of consciousness, above level 200, which is courage, which is the middle line, you shift from force into power. So force versus power is where your energy is coming from, whether it's coming from forcing things to happen, making things grinding, hard work, effort, tiring, exhausting, boring, frustrating, or is your energy source coming from power? Now, where does the power come from? Which means it's self-perpetuating, which means you can accomplish things and get stuff done, and you actually have the same amount of energy after you've created a reality, many times even more energy. This is how, as a salesperson, I was able to take back-to-back calls for weeks and weeks and weeks, or months and months and months, and earn $100,000 a month in commissions and not burn out, because I was accessing power, not force. I wasn't trying to close my prospects or sell my prospects or do the sales thingy to them. I was accessing power. So you might be wondering, well, how does power work that you get this essentially infinite source of energy? Well, power is where you're channeling something through you. You are now a vessel, you are a vehicle, you are a catalyst for the energy source. Force is where you're using you. The food you ate, the sleep that you had, the energy that you've got inside your body, the muscles you've got, your vocal cords, everything is forceful. You're using yourself up to create a reality. Whereas when you access power, you just tap into this main line, the God mode as we could call it, where energy just flows through you. This is what people talk about when they say flow state, where athletes, after having no sleep, no good food, a bad week, maybe they're injured, in the heat of the moment, they just surrender and let go, and they find this source of energy that fuels them and sustains them, and many times takes them to another whole level of competency and excellence. That is when you tap into power. So, two pieces of theory there. Now let's really drill it down into a sales call. You are taking your prospects from falsehood into truth. And because falsehood is using force and truth is using power, when you're trying to sell someone the truth and using the truth, you end up having this divine access to infinite power. So the whole sales call doesn't feel tiring. It doesn't feel exhausting. In fact, being a closer no longer feels exhausting. That is, in simple terms, how this works. To go deeper in this, to study it, to master it, to become it, you would have to join my Unicorn Closer Mastermind. This isn't something where I can give it to you in a 30-minute video, or even, frankly, that you're going to get from reading the books. Sure, you can pick the books up. We tell our members, our clients to read the books, but really, it's becoming what is in these books. Knowing the theory, reading it, highlighting it, making notes isn't going to change anything. You need to live by it. That's the value of joining a mastermind and having mentorship and being around other closers that are on this path. As you've heard before, you're the average of the 5 or more people that you surround yourself with. But I can take you further into how you can start to use this on a sales call, or more importantly, if you really want to master this, the shift that you would make one direction, meaning permanently, in how you sell. And it is simply this. On a sales call, it typically feels, and how you're operating and why sales is tiring and exhausting and you get burned out and you make no fucking money, is it's you and the prospect. You versus the prospect. I have to get the prospect. I have to maneuver the prospect. I have to move them here, tie them down into my little box with my pre-handled objections, have to do sales to them. And so it's always you versus them versus you. If you understand anything about power and force, not this book, the other book, you'll understand that every force creates an equal and opposite force. That in physics, this is Newton's laws, is why sales is so tiring to you. When you try and do something to the prospect pushes back on you. Maybe not literally, maybe not verbally, energetically. And so if you're always playing this tag game, like push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, that's why it's exhausting. And it's also why instead of you being able to use power that's flowing through you, that you've transcended to get access to, you're constantly using your own energy. And what that means is that even if you make a sale, you end up losing leads or further sales because you're now drained. There is no win-win situation where you are using force. There's only a win-win situation where you can self-perpetuate results, get more results, more results, more results, and it compounds. You've seen the power of compound interest. Only works when you're using power. And you can only access power when you're in truth. So on a sales call, instead of it being you versus the prospect, what you should actually do, which makes everything easier and significantly more powerful, is it should be you shining a light on the truth, and it's the truth versus the prospect. So you don't actually come into contact, energetically speaking, metaphorically speaking, with the prospect. All you're doing is facilitating the truth being exposed and displayed. And the prospect is now coming into contact with the truth. Because there's now this separation from you, that's what allows you to not be burning through your energy. You're not contacting with the prospect. You're not doing anything to the prospect at all. You're not trying to close them. You're not trying to sell them. You're not trying to manipulate them. You're not trying to persuade them or influence them. You are doing nothing to your prospect. You are tapping into the truth, illuminating the truth like a flashlight. You shine it over there, you shine it over there, you shine it up here. The truth starts being lit up like a Christmas tree. And the truth that the prospect previously didn't see because they're in falsehood does 2 things. Number 1, the truth is what they should be doing. So they see that, and their intuitive divinity, how they've come from God, awakens, and they're like, oh, that's what I should be aligning with. That's one thing. But not only that, when you tap in by shining the light on the truth to them, the truth, as I said before, is power versus force. So that truth that is coming from source code or consciousness or divinity has way more power than any sales technique or tactic that you could ever do. You're essentially comparing you versus God. You're using God to sell for you as opposed to you trying to sell the prospect. And you want to play that game and be like, well, no, I could just learn all the sales tactics and gizmos and gadgets. I'll be the best salesperson on the planet. Nothing compared to source or consciousness or even God, if we call it that. Hopefully this doesn't sound religious or blasphemous. It's not supposed to be. It's just helping you understand that there is a 4th dimension that you currently aren't using. It's so much more powerful. It is infinite. It is abundant. It is self-sustaining, and it compounds because instead of you using yourself to close, you tap into something that does the closing for you. What does the closing for you? The truth. How many deals have you already lost this week that you could have closed but didn't because you were out of state? I'm not a fan of sales hacks, but if there was one thing you could do before your next sales call to raise your closing percentage, it's using my patented pre-call checklist. Imagine taking just 60 seconds to read 5 to 7 personalized bullet points on a piece of paper, and as unbelievable as it may sound, puts you into the optimal state to access your highest sales skills on every call. That's the pre-call checklist. I'm going to show you how to create your own, All you need is a piece of paper and to go through the training that I'm going to give you. Thousands of salespeople have used this framework to close more deals, and you can have your own for free. No strings attached, in a matter of minutes. Click the link below this video, enter your email, and grab it right now.